Okay, so this lesson is economics, key terms, and basic concepts, and it's going to be focusing on what type of economy the U.S. is. So what type of economy is the U.S.? So I would want my students to vote if it's traditional, market planned, or mixed, with no background or prior knowledge on any of these, but just like by the name. So I'd give them a few minutes to think about it, and then I would want to take a tally of how many students voted for each one, and I was thinking about having them write down their answers on a sticky note and have them come place it on the board. So after that, we would move on. So traditional. So a traditional economy is based on bartering, trading, and farming. Things are done very traditionally, and you usually end up doing what your parents or your family does. So if my family they owned a bakery and they baked bread and cupcakes and cakes and different things, then my job would end up being a baker because that's what my family grew up. So that's what I learned how to do. And then if I got married to a man and we had kids, we would probably end up taking over my parents' business when they were too old to take care of it. And so then it would just start a chain. That's what our kids would end up doing. So that's kind of a traditional. So who still thinks that the U.S. has a traditional economy? So I'd give my students a few minutes to think about it. What about a market economy? So a market economy is based on supply and demand. Consumers can buy whatever product they want, and they can sell whatever product they want. They can decide what the prices are. The government does not really get involved on what's going on. So the companies and the industries and the different businesses, they all get to control what they do. And the government doesn't really make them change anything. So how many of you think that the U.S. is a market economy? And I give my students a few minutes to discuss if they think it is and why they think it is, or not, vice versa. What about a planned economy? So a planned economy, the government has a lot of control over the economy. They decide what goods are made, how much they cost, and who gets the profit. So very different from a market economy. Planned is very, very, very run by the government, and they get to decide anything. So you don't really get a lot of choices. So if I had my bakery, I don't really get to choose how much I sell my bread for. The government could probably close my business if they wanted to. So how many of you think it's a planned economy? Why or why not? Do you want to change your answer? What about a mix? So this is the last one. A mixed economy is a combination of any of those three. Some industries are owned and controlled by the government and others are not. So it's kind of different. It's a mix of the few. So how many of you think it's a mixed? So then I would have my students tell me their answers and explain, maybe have some explain why they changed their answers before we did this activity. Okay, so the U.S. economy is a mixed economy. So let's talk about it. Some awesomeness of the mixed economy is it protects private property. So if I had my bakery business, another person that wanted to sell bread couldn't come into my store and start selling their own bread because that's my property. People can come up with their own prices. So I can come up with how much I want to sell my bread for. So if I wanted to sell my bread for $2 a loaf of bread, I could do that. Or I could change it to $1.50, whatever I wanted. People can choose what they want to sell. So I can choose if I want to sell bread, or I can decide I want to sell my bread, my bakery, and then I can open up a taco truck if I wanted to. A mixed economy is pretty helpful. The government manages some things to try and keep us safe and keep things fair. They manage fire station, police officers, and libraries to make sure that they're doing their job. So the government has a lot of control on that just to keep us safe. Okay, so let's talk about some vocab. So the vocab we're going to talk about is goods. So goods are the products people are selling or receiving. So if I had a taco truck, my goods would be the tacos that I'd be selling. Maybe chips and cheese dip or chips and salsa, any of the drinks that I wanted to sell, those would be my products. Distribution is how people give the goods or services to other people. So my taco truck, I don't mail my tacos online, I serve them from my taco truck. So people come up to the taco truck and then they give me the money and then I sell them. So it's like hand-to-hand, face-to-face service. So that's how I distribute my tacos. Consumer, person who is using the good or service. So the people that I would be selling my tacos to, those are the consumers. They're the one buying my chips and salsa and all the tacos. The producer is the person who creates the good or service. So at my taco truck, I would be the producer because I'm selling the tacos. Alright, so I'm going to give us an example, and this is a little story, and we're going to kind of work through the vocab. Okay, so over here is Thor, and over here is Vanellope. But this is Vanellope's lemonade stand that she has. She sells lemonade over here. And then Thor also sells a lemonade stand on their own property in their mixed economy. And then these guys are villagers from Minecraft, and they're the ones that are going to be buying the lemonade. So in a mixed economy, Thor could decide that he wants to sell his lemonade for 25 cents each. So he got to choose that option. He decided how much he wanted to sell his lemonade for. Vanellope can also decide to sell her lemonade for $1. It says 100, but we're just going to pretend it's $1 because it's the best picture I could find. So Vanellope and Thor, since it's a mixed economy, they can decide how much they want to sell their lemonade for. And if they figure out, Vanellope figures out that selling it for $1, a lot of people buy it because 25 cents is so much cheaper, she can lower her price to maybe 50 cents. She can do that because it's a mixed economy. Okay. Since it's a mixed economy, Thor can also decide that he only wants to put 1 ice cube in his lemonade for each cup. And Vanellope can decide that she wants to put 3 ice cubes in her lemonade. They get to choose that because it's a mixed economy. Okay, so who is going to be our producers in this example? So I'd let my students debate about it and talk about it. And the answer would be Thor and Vanellope because they're the ones selling the lemonade. And then who are my consumers? And so I would let the students guess, and it would be the villagers down here because they're buying the lemonade. What is my product? My product is the lemonade. Maybe if I just wanted to sell a cup of ice, anything that I'm selling. And in this example, it's the lemonade. And then my distribution. So I would let the students talk about it and talk about the different ways that you could distribute. In this example, they're just selling it face to face, kind of like when we were talking about the taco truck. We're not mailing it like Amazon. Amazon's distribution is they mail things to people in their houses. And UPS trucks, we don't do that. We just sell it right here at our stands. So the last thing I would want to do is I would want to use the Minecraft thing that I was talking about later. I want to keep that Minecraft world for a few different activities that we could do with different lessons. So for this one, I would have people break up into at least 4 groups, and I would let the 4 groups decide which kind of economy they wanted, and they can pick from traditional, market, planned, or mixed. And then I would let the groups decide. I would put one of those people in the groups or maybe it would be me as a teacher making the government decisions on everything. And then I would have my students in their groups would be assigned different things in Minecraft they could sell, like wood or coal or food, and then give them guidelines, like each group has to build this building and have this amount of supplies, this amount of food in their boxes and with their groups. That way everybody can be working towards a goal and they could sell things to each other for different prices. Like if I had one group that was selling wood and they wanted to trade it for coal, then the group that is selling the coal can decide how much wood that coal would cost. So I would kind of work with that activity, but that would be my main activity for this lesson. Thanks.